Sup, y'all? Out you fools, Matt, ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel. Welcome back to yet another episode of Mattitude, the Eurovision discussion live stream where we talk about the news of the week and, of course, the national final season. And yes, it has basically officially started the 2021 national final marathon with two shows on the schedule today that have just completed, Norway and Lithuania. We're going to talk about this just for a little while and then, of course, look at what has transpired over the last week in the Eurovision world. And this is just a dialogue. It's not just me talking. I'm hoping to hear back from you as well in the chat, as always. And I want to big shout out to some of the people already here. Rye Mapper is here, Elodie, and Tasha, Lulu, amongst others. Alice Wonder, thank you so much for joining. There is a lot to discuss. A lot has transpired. I hope you're able to join the live stream. If not, you can always watch it later on our channel. And I will delve right into it. In case you know how it works, I will just go over the details for a little bit. And then I will share my thoughts and very useless insight. And then you can ask questions as well in the chat at ESC United. That is how I make sure that this is meant for me. Okay, so we're gonna start out with Norway and then work our way into Lithuania, and then we'll go right over some of the news and then see what you have to say. How does that sound? Big thank you to Rye Mapper for your super chat already. This is highly appreciated. It's all in this. Blah, blah, blah. I can talk. In addition to being a member of our YouTube channel, if you want to join our channel and support us, you can do that by clicking on membership. But if not, fine. You know, I know it's not a requirement, but it's just one way in case you're wondering. Thanks again for the information. All right. Let's get into this. So, as I just discussed, we've had already a couple of shows. The results are in, and it was so much fun to actually have something to look forward to. And as you can see, Melody Grand Prix in Norway was the show that started first and then fairly quickly wrapped up, which is always a good thing. We don't want to drag it out like some other national finals. But let's talk about this. So they have this very interesting system where a bunch of songs, half of them, I want to say, I don't get that exact number, I have to double check that, are already pre-qualified for the finals. And then there are a bunch of other songs battling it out in each semi. Each semi has 4 songs, and then those 4 songs will be drawn randomly into 2 different duels, and then from each duel, 1 song moves on to the next round, and then the 2 winning duelists will then compete against each other, and the song that wins at that point gets a ticket for the final in Melody Grand Prix. And the good news is, unlike last year, the 3 eliminated songs are still in the running, apparently, for wild card tickets. So even though your favorite may have not won, from what I'm hearing, they can still be in the finals. And a couple of direct qualifiers have performed as well today as well, and we're going to talk about that. So just stay tuned. So, as said, the draw happened, and we had 2 separate duels. And in the luck of a draw happened here, and that meant that these 2 ladies, Stina Tarling with Elevate and Beatty Bell with Playing with Fire. So these 2 ladies battled it out first. People voted, and I would love to hear from you as well, of course, as far as like who your favorite was. But in case you haven't watched yet the show and you want to watch it now, I'll give you 2 seconds. So I'm not going to spoil it for you. 1, 2. But the winner of that duel was Stina Tarling with Elevate. Elevate winning this duel, not a big surprise, I would say, in terms of betting odds, because Elevate appeared to be the clear favorite in the fan polls. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to, win or anything, but it's a good indicator that there's a lot of good support there, and that is exactly what happened here. So she took it, and Beatty Bell has to fight for her. Melody Grand Prix live. Don't want to be too dramatic about this. Still in the running. So then we moved on to the second round. Let me bring that up here real quick. So we had the first act, Jorn with Faith, Bloody Faith performing, and then battling against, how do you pronounce that actually? Blaza Mafian featuring Hazel, Let Loose. So those two acts battled it out, and once again, the people in Norway voted, and they decided that Blas Mafian with Let Loose deserved a slot in the gold duel. Therefore, Jorn currently has to sit out on the sidelines and actually hope for the wildcard ticket. But that doesn't mean both of them moved on directly to the finals, because then Stina Talling and Blas Mafian, they battled it out again. And only one winner. And to some, or to several people, a surprise qualifier winner, Blas Mafian, featuring Hazel, Let Loose, is getting a ticket for the grand final of Melody Grand Prix. Eliminating, again, I'm using that loosely right now, Stina Talling for now, and Elevate, which was the fan and betting odds favorite from I'm hearing. So that is the outcome, and I think there is a lot to say about this, in addition to the two pre-qualified acts that performed tonight as well. Tix is one of them, as well as KEiiNO. Yes, KEiiNO, who represented Norway in 2019, technically the most recent Eurovision, winning the televote, trying their luck again. But more on that in just a second. So, this is the outcome. So, Stina Talling, Elevate, Blas Mafian, Let Loose, the two duel winners in the gold duel, Blas Mafian with Hazel, Let Loose, going directly to the grand final. So, let's talk about the show. I'm going to share my thoughts. And if you follow me on Twitter, at MattESCUnited, you may have get a little bit glimpse insight into my thinking. Yeah. By the way, questions at ESCUnited in the chat. I will address them as I go for this. But if you I also did a video, an initial reaction video of the 4 songs in the studio version. That is out as well. And apparently, I was a big surprise, because Elevate, the fan favorite, was probably my least favorite of the 4 based on the studio version. It's not a bad song. I thought it was a solid semi, but to me it felt a little, averagey pop song. I didn't quite get as much personality out of it, me personally, but clearly I'm in the minority. Others were more a fan of it. I put Beatty Bell in 3rd place, Blas Mafian, Let Loose in my 2nd place, and Jorn was my personal pre-favorite prior to the performance, right? So looking at Stina Talling and Elevate and Beatty Bell playing with fire. Let's talk about that duel first. No surprise, Stina wins with Elevate. I don't think Playing with Fire ever had really a shot. It's just not the kind of song that gets a lot of mass support. Personally, I actually preferred Beatty Bell Playing with Fire, although I tweeted as well, it reminded me so much of Sergei Lazarev's staging. Yes, she was just using mirrors, while Sergei's screen performance was a lot more elaborate and technologically advanced, but I still got this whole mirror-like wall thing, reminded me totally of that. I thought she had a great voice, and I kind of liked the song. It probably wasn't strong enough, so I'm not surprised about Elevate. Stina Talling was a little flat vocally, I thought. Was not her best performance. That can still be improved, in the second chance round. I know a lot of people are sad. I personally would have picked Playing with Fire. But, I think, once again, I am in the clear minority here. ESC Laura is saying, I think Stina was the deserved winner of this duel, even though I gotta admit her voice was thin. So you agree with that? It's just the song doesn't speak to me. It's not a bad song. I think I said it in my original reaction. It is very slick. It is very professionally executed. The most contemporary song, I think, in the bunch, maybe you can say, or at least radio-friendly, for the lack of a better word. So I totally get it. It just kind of didn't speak to me. And that just happens sometimes with music, And, yeah. So Stina moved on in that particular duel. Then Jorn with Faith, Bloody Faith, and Blas Mafian featuring Hazel, Let Loose, battled it out in the second round. And I will say that I loved both of their staging. I thought both of them did such a phenomenal job. Jorn reminded me a little bit almost like of a Kiss performance, the band Kiss, or just almost like glamour rocky. I think he has a great voice, and I just loved that song. I was totally sold. I will say this: I watched Blas Mafian's performance. I'm like, that is one of the best stagings I've seen in a while, especially in a more smaller scale settings like they've had in the semifinals. They'll get more staging probably even in the finals. I thought it was so slick, it was done so well, and I was thoroughly entertained throughout the entire 3 minutes. So they ultimately won, kicking out Jorn, who was my favorite, which was very upsetting to me, but not surprising. My favorites tend to get cut way too early anyway. So that happened. So the first 2 rounds didn't necessarily go quite my way. Then my personal favorites got cut out. But I totally get why Let Loose won over so many people. I like the song very much as well. Now, then Stina Tarling and Blas Mafian battled it out in the golden duel, and can only be one winner. And to a big surprise to a lot of people, Blas Mafian featuring Hazel won. Let Loose. People thought Elevate is just going to take it easily, but nope, you never know how it goes. Let Loose spoke to people more. It just was such a visual feast, and it was so done so well. Now, I saw some comments before, and I kind of echo it. When I said my original reaction video, I'm getting like, this is the Nocturne of 2021. In that sense, not that many vocals. It is very much about the instruments, right? And in the year 2021, there are no live instruments, so they are basically just playing along while we cannot even hear them play. I'm sure they're actually playing it for themselves, we just cannot hear it, but the sound that comes through the speakers is pre-recorded. So it's a little weird having this sound, mostly instrumental, that is not live, winning it all out. But that is what the EBU wants to do. They don't want to have an orchestra, and I don't want to penalize them for that either. So I just thought it was the most slick one. So between Elevate and Let Loose, I was team Let Loose, actually. I'm going to say, and I am happy that they are moving on, even though my beloved Jorn did not, but that is just my luck, or anyone's luck for that matter. I think I've learned over the years, I've been doing that for quite some time, that you have to let go of your anxiety or your excitement about a certain song, because let's be real, the odds are it is most likely not going to win. So just think about it that way. You have a favorite and just love it and say, well, it's not going to win, even if it's the best song in the running according to you. And with that mindset going in, if it does end up winning, you are even more excited. That is how I learned to cope with the many, many disappointments that is Eurovision, as much as I love it. But that is, otherwise I would be so pissed every single time a national final it comes to an end. Simon Falk actually says, Blas Mafian was for me the clear winner because of the staging. Kind of what I said as well. It reminded me a little bit of, like, it gave me a little bit Moldova 2017 vibe, Sunstroke project, right? Not the same, because, they had way more vocals, but I do got a little bit like the horn, and it was just, I got it. Blas Mafian is pronounced Ad Blosse Mafiain. Okay, Francesca, don't do this to me. I am the worst with pronunciation, okay? I speak 2 languages, and I can only do that. I can fake a little bit of a French accent, but that's about it. Snus Muriken is saying, do you think a song like Let Loose would manage to get a single point from the juries? That is a very good question, and a very tough question. We really haven't had that kind of music like explore the contest that is heavily relying upon only the instrumental. There have been a few, maybe. I remember Slovenia 2000 and something. What year was it? Not 10. Was it 9, 8, 7? I don't remember. But they had like this very classic, just strings and very little vocals, and it didn't qualify. But I could see this potentially kind of just doing with the juries. I don't think 0 points sounds about right because there are vocals in there, and I think that judge more than just the fact that there is a limited amount of it in the song. I'll just think KEiiNO in 2019, they kind of sucked with the juries, right? Both in the finals and semi, and then just got so much love from the televote. It was plenty to qualify. So I could see something potential happening here as well. We're getting ahead of ourselves though because they have still to battle it out. But I don't necessarily think this is a dooms situation for Norway. Should let loose win, in my humble opinion. So, yeah, that is definitely what I was thinking. It was Slovenia 2009. Tasha Lulu saying, thank you. My brain was kind of stuck. I remember 2010. I remember 2008 now. Yeah, now it's coming to me. Thank you. 2009 Slovenia. Yes, that's what it was. So, yeah, it is very interesting. And Simon is asking, do you think that Stina won just because of her fan base? Playing with Fire was better in staging. Here's the thing. I did not look up like previous fan bases for a song. I assume Stina has a big fan base even before this whole thing. Is that correct? Because I've never heard of her. I don't live in Norway. I don't pay attention to the Norwegian music scene a whole lot. Because I was a little bit surprised when I saw this big excitement and push for this song. I'm like, I am missing something. I'm absolutely missing something. And that is fine. I always want people to explain to me what they see in the song that I am missing, and that's the beauty about music, right? We don't have to agree, but we can respect each other's approach or taste or, explanation. And I just wasn't quite sure why people loved it so much because it felt to me just like a fairly averagey pop song that was well executed, but just heard it a gazillion times before. That is definitely my opinion about this song. But, you do you, boo. But get back to the show. So we all know Let Loose is now going to fight for the whole win at Melody Grand Prix. That would be kind of cool. And we also had 2 pre-qualified songs performed tonight. They weren't up for a vote because they're already in the final. KEiiNO, Monument, big thing, and takes Ut of Morket. So when KEiiNO was announced, people, were going crazy, and people were hyped. I didn't listen to the songs up front. I listened to them for the first time tonight. So we can talk about those as well, and what their chances are, in my view, and your opinion, of course. By the way, just to get back, Simon said Stina is a YouTuber, so I think she has won because of her fans, maybe. That is true. If you have online support base, like in especially younger crowd, that could certainly make a big difference. She's not the best vocalist. I think we can all agree on that, whether or not you like the song, but she was not delivering vocally tonight, at least. So I would love to hear from you about how you feel about KEiiNO and Tix tonight. Now, here is the thing. I kind of missed Tix's performance. I had it on in the background, mostly on mute or low volume, only because there was so much going on in Lithuania. And I didn't realize they have 2 pre-qualified acts perform. Otherwise, I had it properly prepared better. So I missed most of Tix's performance. It looked interesting with the whole wing thing, but I didn't listen to it too closely. So I need to hear from you. How was the song? It looked interesting, and I'm like, dang it, I have to switch back. I'm going to listen to it afterwards. I just didn't have time, because I had to jump on here. And here is some comments I see. World Sasuri saying KEiiNO song is really good. Francesco is saying KEiiNO is the first serious attempt of this season to go and win in Rotterdam, but I'm afraid that it came too soon and fans will get tired. That is very interesting. Stephen Candle is saying, this is KEiiNO's MGP to lose. Alright, so I always told you I will be honest with you, and we are okay to disagree, and just don't hate me. I listened to the song, and I said, why is this a favorite? Is it because of the act or of the song? I thought, to me, it's like, it was fine. It was fine. It was fine. But it was not wowing me. It is not. I remember listening to Spirits in the Sky, and I was like, done. finish the national final unless the jury's period. This has to. I mean, it was such a fun beat, and I love the playfulness of the song, which I'm missing here. And maybe that could be an issue, personal bias here. Listen to me, Monument to me. Maybe I'm comparing it too much to Spirit in the Sky and what I liked about it and what I'm missing in Monument. Spirit in the Sky, as I liked how they played off of one another, right? And even had their own part in the song, and that kept the song active, and I just really was into it. It kept it very interactive almost, because now he is singing, now Alexandra is singing, and now there's the yodel, the York thing. And that was fun in Spirits in the Sky. In Monument, I felt as Alexandra became Beyonce. And I don't mean that as an insult, but she was the focus of the band. And the other male singer, I know his name, it just escaped me. He became just a backup singer for the most part. And it was just not quite as exciting to me. And I'm looking at, I'm like, is it because I'm comparing it to Spirit in the Sky, that's why I like it less? Or are maybe some of the fans are just so excited about KEiiNO that they just like the song regardless? Or is the song strong enough on its own merit? So, I don't know. It is very difficult to put yourself out of your personal bubble sometimes. I cannot unknow Spirits in the Sky unless I get really drunk, but I don't drink. So I would like to hear from you as well. Those, because I think the majority of you like Monument. Let me know what the song does to you, why you're into it. At ESC United in the chat. Yanis is saying, I totally agree with you. The song is very overrated, in my opinion, and Spirit in the Sky was way better. I think it's hyped because it's KEiiNO. It could be that people just really like it, but that's why I'm asking, what is it that you like about it? Will Sasori is saying the reason why I personally like Monument, even more than Spirit in the Sky, is because here Alexandra shows her voice more. Also, I like the melody more. Okay, that is fair. I find it actually a negative that Alexandra is more highlighted, not because of her or anything. It's just I liked the whole trio. That is just something so different that made it so fun, and I missed that part here. In Norwegian, Spotify, Tix has more views than KEiiNO, so I think that only ESC fans will love it so much. People in Norway probably will choose another song, Simon is saying. Could be. And it's not me anything against KEiiNO, because I was crazy about Spirit in the Sky. Are you kidding me? I love that song to bits. So it's not for a lack of support for KEiiNO. And the trio was so approachable and likable. In where were we? Tel Aviv. I'm like, which country? I just think they're adorable, and they were so involved in the whole promoting thing, and it's the kind of band I want to see at Eurovision. And their sound, Spirit in the Sky, was so Eurovision. That is what you expect kind of from the contest, right? So that is the thing for me. Raven says, I like Alexandra the best of them there, so naturally I like this more than Spirit in the Sky. See, that's what it comes down to. If people like Alexandra's voice and her style, maybe that is what works for you. To me, it's a negative, and it's not as her as an artist, but just I like the playfulness and the teamwork between the three acts. And so I was a little like disappointed. If I would have been the other guy, why is his name escaping me? I would have been kind of like, I'm here too. I'm like a third of this. So yeah, but I'm just trying to explain to you without people getting super mad at me for not maybe agreeing. YMCS15 says, Tick's song breaks the barrier of language and successfully conveys the feeling of the song. I came to show to support KEiiNO and left loving Tick. So again, I didn't listen to Tick's because, Lithuania was on, and now I'm really curious to find out about it. So, yeah. So very interesting, some of your thoughts. I hear what you're saying. So some people just like the melody better. Some people are very excited about Alexandra being the focus. As I said, the Beyonce of KEiiNO now. So yeah, I guess it comes down to really what you were expecting. And I remember tweeting about it. I'm like, because I saw everyone, KEiiNO's going to win. I listened to the song. I'm like, okay. But again, I'm not you should not listen to what I'm saying, because, my favorites tend to go, I'm just one opinion. But that is just how I felt about it. So, but in case you don't know how it works, KEiiNO, even though they performed tonight, they will not, they didn't have to worry about qualification because they're already going through. Any questions in regards to Norway in general at ESC United before we move on? I always talk about how I dislike this system in Norway this year and last year. I don't dislike the heats, the semifinals. I just don't like, if you have heats, don't pick pre-qualified entries. That's dumb. Then do a Sweden. Do it fair for everyone. Let then the voters decide. But now they probably want to give certain acts a little boost, and I find that an issue. I find that a problem. There are 7, I think, that came through, right? Directly, and I just don't like that idea. Ryan Alexander, I think, is one of them who battled in the semis last time. Now he's getting a direct ticket. It's just weird to me. That's all I'm saying, and I just don't like it. Either have them all go through a semi, or just pick a lineup for the finals. Don't do this half and half. Like, if I was an act, I'm like, screw this. But that is just me. See if any other questions in regards to Norway. Elodie is saying, I don't mind if KEiiNO wins, but I don't think they will. I don't know yet. Out of tonight's performances, I will say, actually, even though Stina Talling won her first duel in the wild card, I think that Jorn still has a really good shot. And it's not just me talking about my personal taste. I think there is something about the song. The second heat was just way stronger, and I could see him definitely as a contender to make it to the final still. That is just my opinion, at least. But hold on to your thoughts on that one. We'll find out soon enough. Yuvalu saying, I'm also not a fan of Monument at all. It's rather meh, in my opinion. So, I guess I'm not the only one who feels that way. So yeah, that is what we have for Norway. And next week we have the second semifinal, or Heat 2, we should say. Super exciting. I'm super excited about that. And did everyone watch both shows or just one? So if you haven't watched Lithuania, you want to come back for that, that's fine. But we're going to go for that as well. This show is always difficult to follow for me because I have no idea what they're doing, what they're talking about. Granted, I don't speak Norwegian either, but it feels like you can make assumption on where they're at in the process with Lithuania. You just never know. And especially when the results came in at the end. Here's a screenshot of the results from the juries and the televote. Before I bring that up, let me just look up on Wikipedia. So, in case you don't know, so they also have a few heats and in there, and then there will be qualifiers and some that do not qualify, or move on, I should say, in the heat. 5 of the 10 songs, so half of them will move on to the second round, or to the next round, while 5 of them will be eliminated. And it was a jury vote, 50%, and then a public vote. It is very interesting to see the public vote, because the song that finished in first place with the televoters received just over 2,000 votes. That's not a whole lot. It's funny how, there are not that many votes out there. But my nose is tickling in case you're wondering why I keep touching it. I have to sneeze, but it's not coming out. That is just very interesting. So the 10 songs, I'm not going to go through them all individually, but let me bring up the first screen here. And basically, the first screen will show you the results of the juries, I believe. Let's put that on here. Wrong button. I'm so fired. Here we go. So these were the the jury results. And those points will then flipped over into the 12, 10, 8, 7, Eurovision vote. But as you can see, the act Valdemars Petersens, Never Fall For You Again, got the most points there for 12 points from the juries. Then in second place is Militia. Daikirke. Name of the song, Shadows. Moving on to Titus Irbenas. Titus Irbenas' song is No. And Donata. Donata wir Leite, the way I am. And that one got a good amount of points. And then in fifth place, BU. BU performed Love Yourself. So these are the results of the juries, as you can see. And honestly, I didn't look up anything in terms of who the fan favorites were and what people were hoping for. So you have to tell me about that. So that were the results of the juries. But as said, the juries are not alone in voting. There's also a televote, and things may have changed. Let's take a look at that. So, the winner, Voldemar Peterson's Never Fall For You Again, according to the juries, only received 6 points from the televote. So, only 5th place. So, there was already discrepancy. But it was enough to win the actual heat. They got 18 points total, and that there is to it. Another entry that finished with 18 points total, but in second place, which is interesting because they got more points from the public. I guess that's not how it works in Lithuania, is Titus and Benaz. No. Second place with the televoters, third place with the juries, got placed second according to Wikipedia, at least. And then a country that finished in third place overall, also qualifying, is Martina Yetzepikainte. Thank you very much. She actually was the televote winner, getting over 2,000 votes, more than double the point of the second placer. So this was the clear televote favorite. Was enough, even though only 5 points from the juries, with the 17 points making it through. Militia Daikarte with Shadows finished in fourth place, 10 points from the juries, 5 points from the televote, 15 points overall. That was enough. There's a little bit of disagreement between the juries and the televoters, as you can see. And then in fifth place, making it to the next round, barely, but enough, BU with the song Love Yourself, 6 points from the juries, 7 points from the televote, overall 13 points. So this is where what's happening. Those songs are through. That means the following songs are out. Black Spikes with Don't Tell Me in 6th place. Donata Wir bei The Way I Am in 7th place. Aldegunda, Sit Down, 8th place. Tusam, I Love My Bear, 9th place. And Tomuka's One Wish is in last place. And that is where we're at. And now it's time to talk about the results. I'm going to share my thoughts first, and then I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. Share them. And at ESC United. So, I'm going to say I was slightly underwhelmed. Maybe because I was switching between Norway and Lithuania. But in the beginning, I was like, there are not many songs that really grabbed me or interest me. I can tell you my personal favorite, I will agree with the juries here probably, is Never Fall For You Again, was a song that stood out to me. So I'm happy that the juries agreed with me. I think overall, with the results tonight, I'm team jury. My second favorite, I think, was actually, I think it was The Way I Am, Donata. I forgot, there was another guy who sang, I think on the piano or something. See, I should have written it down, but I was so busy. There was another guy who was singing. I want to say it was Donata. I'm pretty sure. That one I liked as well. Other than that, I just thought Black Spikes was fun because it was so different. That to me was fun. It looked like it was Australia 2019, just the evil version. With a spiky crown. That was my thinking. But it, I can see maybe why it didn't resonate as much. Although it was third with the public. That is unfortunate. But it wasn't enough overall. I'm sure a few fans are quite upset about that. Then I will say most songs were just like, whatever. 2 songs, of course, really were but that's Lithuania. They're always WTF songs. And the 2 that come to mind is Tomoka's One with Wish. I'm like, how did he make the cut? I'm always thinking, are they trolling us? Or did the juries or the people in charge saw like that has something. We're just switching it up a little. I don't know. I don't know. It really confused me. But that's Lithuania. They always have a lot of like WTF songs, and that's one of them. And then the other one, I Love My Bear. I Love My Bear. That's the name of the song, and that's basically all they're saying, that they love their bear. At first, I thought they were singing I Love My Beer, which I guess is just as bad, but it was too silly. And silly can be done right, but Lithuania has not figured that out so far here this year. So that to me is how I feel about this heat. It was not anything that I really jumped for joy out of it, but that's okay because we have another heat next week, and maybe they have different songs in there that'll be a little bit more exciting. I don't know. I don't know, but that is just my opinion, and now I would love to hear from you. Are you with me on this, or what were your thoughts at ESC United? Make sure you leave that in the chat. Eurotowley, thank you so much for your super chat. Let me read what you said. They'll always be read, your super chats, by the way. Jorn should be in the final. Yes! And it's a shame, but oh well. Perhaps he will receive the wild card. Random question again, Matt. Okay, Matt. I'm calling myself Matt. Matt. I must ask your opinion of Macedonia 1998 and Belgium 1988. Okay, well, I'm gonna pretend that I'm going to know what I'm talking. I know Macedonia 1998, and it was fine to me. I think 1998 was the first year I watched Eurovision. I was, little teeny boy, and it was not necessarily the song that stood out to me the most. But it was just there, I guess. And Belgium, 1988, I will have to look up. 1988. Gosh, I don't remember that one at all. You're doing it every single time, Eurotowley. I will have to listen to it again. I don't remember looking at him. 1988, I just remember was a very weak year overall. So I tend to side with I probably didn't like it because I didn't like most of the songs that year. So yeah, Renata was, oh no, my screen jumped. Renata said, hi Matt, greetings from Lithuania. It's easy. The favorite is the Roop. Everybody's waiting for them. Everybody else does, no matter so much. Now here's the thing. I know that the Roop, who were set to represent Lithuania last year, on Fire, are probably the favorites. I'm always worried that we're going to have these expectations that are going to have something similar to last year or just as good. There's always this certain level of expectations that is so high that it's very difficult to reach. So I'm worried that people have a certain mindset that's going to be something similar, and there's a big chance of people being disappointed. And that is where I'm preparing myself, that the song's not going to be as epic as last year, but maybe they can prove me wrong, because if they do, I would be stoked. So let's see some other points. Elodie is saying the best song of the night was Interval, which was, the Interval. I was like, what is the name of the song? I was like, I'm looking at the list. There is no song called Interval. I was kind of repulsed by it, but then I went into Fascinated, and then I was into Epic, right? It was like this process that I had to go through. When it started, I'm like, oh, it's garbage. Let's move on with our lives. And then as he kept performing, I'm like, hold on a second. What is going on here? And then I was like, oh my God, this is kind of epic. This is a very, very creative interval act. I totally agree with you. Now, not for Eurovision, but for the show, it was fantastic. I was a big fan of it. Absolutely. Olivia MacArthur is saying, I was pretty sad for Lithuania. I was not a big fan of any songs tonight. I have hope for next week and the Roop. I am absolutely with you on the same boat. I'm glad it wasn't me just being negative. I felt like today, I'm always known for being like I appreciate all kinds of music guy, and today I was kind of like negative. I'm like, I didn't care for Elevate, KEiiNO song was okay, and then Lithuania was like, But it's just how it goes. But I don't think I'm the only one here. And you saying the Roop next week. So I'm looking at the list right now for next week, and the Roop is not on there. Is that incorrect? I'm only looking at Wikipedia. I see 10 acts, but the Roop is not one of them. So are there any more heats? I thought there were only 2 heats. Did they go by a different name now, or is that just incorrect on Wikipedia? I'm not sure. Tusam is actually singing about beer. What? ESVL saying, are you sure? Really? I stopped paying attention because I was kind of just annoyed with it. I love my beer, so it wasn't bear. Huh. It was bad. Simon is saying, yeah, I would love to see guys from the Inneval at Eurovision. What? I would love to see guys from the Inneval act at Eurovision. So another Inneval act fan, Connor Wells, is saying the Roop are straight into the... Oh, that's what... You know what? I knew that. And I've totally forgot. You're absolutely right. They're a direct qualifier. Duh! That's the least they deserve. I'm still thinking they should have gone through. Yeah, that's right. They're directly qualified. Thank you for reminding me. I didn't have that ready. Yeah, the name of the song is Discotheque, actually. So I'm curious to find out if we're going to get some disco sound from them, or is that just they're throwing us for a loop here. Yeah. I know everyone is telling me now about the automatic qualifiers. I get it. I forgot about that. This is actually the first time, my friends, that I am paying attention to the Lithuanian national final. I can never make it through them. But now that they're finally kind of cut it down to a reasonable number of shows, I'm like, all right, I can do this. I'm in. Let's do it. If I can do Melodifestivalen with 6 shows, I can do Lithuania now. But they used to have like 89 of them. So it's just like that. I remember that in Estilau 2020, there was this one strange sausage song. Oh, yes. Capacola, it was so cringe. That is exactly how I feel about the song as well. It's just too cringe. And I am all in favor of having a good, silly, gimmicky song. I can work with that. But when you do that, I'm not saying you need to take it seriously, but you need to do it right. And it was not done right. And I'm just saying. So any other questions on Lithuania at ESC United before we move on? I would love to hear from you. Then we're just going to talk about for a couple of minutes about some standard stuff, Eurovision. I remember that in Estilau 2020, there was one I read already, forgive me. I'd love to be able to internally select someone's Eurovision act. Waterloo and Robinson will represent Austria and Ivo Lina for Estonia, if I can pick. You know what? I love the Ivo Lina song. I put it in my 5th place initially. If you watched my Estonian video from yesterday, or this morning actually, right? I did it yesterday, but it was probably just uploaded today. I kind of liked it, and I probably would have put it even now in 4th or 3rd place. It's just something about that song that I'm really gravitating towards. I know you mentioned earlier you like older men singing songs, and I can see that. Depending on the song, I have an appreciation as well. I'm very much in favor of having people older than 35 actually take part in Eurovision, because there seems to be such a big chunk of people just sending young singers. Let's have a little bit more diversity. So, yeah. This is what we have then for Lithuania. More to come. Everyone's saying it's going to be the Roop anyway. We have to wait and see. We have another heat next week, and that means we'll have another live stream next week. So, let's talk about real quick, and then we opening up to anything. About news. There has been a little bit news here and there, but for the most part, it's been more on the quiet side, if you know what I mean. One of the things that happened is I'm a little bit surprised about that and a little disappointed, but, I get it, COVID, that Israel, Eden Alem, she, this young, talented lady, she was selected last year. She won the national final. She had then 4 songs, and then Fika Libi won. This year she had 9 songs in the running with the demos. Then they narrowed it down to 3 songs. Then she recorded them. These 3 songs were apparently set to have a national final performance, and so the people can listen and vote for it. Not going to happen. Apparently, it is just going to be an online vote, and people in Israel can vote for it, I guess, and then we have the results at some point. So I'm a little bit disappointed that they went down that route. I was hoping that we would get a little bit more of another national final. I'm not going to harp on it too much, but this is where we at. And yeah, just so you know, that one less show to watch, I guess. So but we have plenty of shows anyway, I guess. So it's not the end of the world. I love how people, by the way, still talking about Lithuania in here, how they have PTSD and they used to have 8 shows. I know, and the shows were so long and there were so many random songs. I can't. I can't. The other thing that we want to talk about is Eurovision 2021 as a whole and the current situation. No way to tiptoe around it. It's COVID. We're all tired of talking about it, but it does impact the contest, even my ability to go. And we don't even know yet what's going to happen, right? There were potential outcomes, and let me remind you real quick on what they are. So these are the things that the EBU and the Dutch broadcaster planned for. Group A is as planned, just like any other contest, pre-2020 that is, with the full crowd, normal press center, etc., etc. Then the second option B would be still all the delegates travel to Rotterdam, but there will be social distancing crowds, social distancing press center, social distancing events in Rotterdam. So there will be curving that back quite a bit. And then C is very similar. They still have the show in Ahoy. Of course, there's like all 4 options, but you don't have to travel to the Netherlands as a delegation if you prefer to do it from a home studio. So you have the option going to the arena or just sending in your performance from your home location, and then they just show that. And then D is a closed contest. So there will still be a show. There'll be hardly any press. There will be no participants. They'll all just do it from home. And there will be zero nada audience available in the arena. So that's basically the worst case scenario. And all 4 options, I guess, on paper are still a possibility. However, Sietzebakker, who is the executive producer of the contest, basically said, not basically, I'm going to quote, if I can find the quote. Now, I'm just going to paraphrase, but he's saying the option of having a full arena seems to be very far away. Yes, that is basically what he was saying. And that sounds like we will not have a full arena, just like a standard Eurovision as we know it. And we didn't know when they put this in place how COVID would look like. And clearly, even though the vaccines are coming in slowly, but they are, it's still a little crazy. Let me just show you, in case you don't know. This is just the Netherlands, and you cannot just look at the Netherlands itself, but these are the COVID cases daily, over the last year since it started, and then just what we at right now. Yes, it has plateaued a little, but we're still talking about thousands of new cases, over 5,000 new cases every single day. That is still a huge number, and it's less than, like, what was it before, 13,000? But they need to take that in consideration. It still may come down over the next weeks and months, but the problem is they need to make a decision within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So, and that's what it comes down to. And if we look at the numbers right now, the question is, where are we going to end up? What is going to happen? Your guess is as good as mine, but if you apply common sense, I think we all know that option A, a normal, good old-fashioned Eurovision, is not in the cards at this point. That means, at the best case scenario, I think scenario B and C, they're pretty close to each other, is the most likely outcome. Once again, case B has all delegations travel to Rotterdam with only a social distancing crowd and a limited press center and limited events in Rotterdam. And the difference with the B and C is, in C, delegations have the ability to actually perform from their home broadcaster, so they don't have to travel to Eurovision and potentially provide more exposure. So that is basically what the situation is. And then D is still a possibility as well, where it's completely on shutdown, where no one's, it's just going to be the hosts in the arena and everyone else stays home, basically. That would be especially sad, but that's just the situation. So at this point, the update from Sitzebacher makes sense, and it's not surprising, but it's always kind of like, yeah, I get it. But it is very important that people take it seriously. I've been taking it very seriously. Those who know, most of you know probably that I live in, well, in LA County, which is like one of the worst center, COVID epic centers in the world right now. Every 6 minutes in my county, someone dies of COVID. That's how bad it is. And I'm just, just staying away from people until further notice. Fortunately, my city is doing a really good job with the vaccinations. They're ready for the first phase. They're already working on the second one, where they give it to people working in retail, to teachers, people over a certain age. So we're making good progress. But we need to be very, very careful. And it sucks because none of us did Eurovision last year because it was canceled, and then there is a really good chance that I won't be able to go again this year. There is still some press there, but we don't know who's going to get it, and I would assume they're going to give it to the mainstream media first. Of course, I sound like them, you know what I mean, like the big networks. And I don't know. I think the odds are I will not be going, which is unfortunate, but again, health comes first. But this is where we're at right now. Most likely no scenario A. I think it's going to be between B and C. The next 2-3 weeks will give us a little bit more of an indicator. Granted, they cannot just take the Dutch numbers into consideration, because people from all over the continent, all over the world, are actually traveling to Rotterdam. So they have to take a lot of things into consideration. So these are still tough times, and I know starting like June, July, it's where they expect things get better, but that's too late for Eurovision, of course. But the most important thing is most of you are not traveling anyway. You will have your show, and that is the most important thing. Although it may not feel the same, not having an audience at all if situation D comes into play, and not having it on the actual stage. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be good. I thought Junior Eurovision did a pretty good job, or a really good job, I should say. So we should expect something similar, just on a more grand scale. But yeah, it's probably not the same. So this is where we're at right now. Just wait a few more weeks and we'll see how it goes. And any questions about Eurovision 2021 and the current COVID situation at ESC United, post them in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer them if I can. We don't even get John Olasan to say take it away this year, so nothing will be the same anyway. Well, Marita, maybe the new one will take over and says it as well. Take it away. Or maybe they come up with a new catchphrase. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that's another thing. It's going to be very, very different. So that's just how life goes. World Sasuri also said he thinks it's going to be between B and C, which is, I think I'm leaning towards that. So yeah, a few years ago, Lithuania, that was an old comment, forgive me. Eurotowley saying, I really don't care about the audience at Eurovision as long as the show is in IMG. I get it, Eurotowley, for you. As I said, most people who just watch it from home, probably they don't care as much. But to me, it's not just a hobby, it's a side job. And, it's tough. It's tough when for 2 years in a row, you can't do it. And, it sucks. Plus, I love to travel, right? I love traveling. I love seeing different places. Granted, I've been to Netherlands many, many times, so that would not be a new place, but I've only been to Rotterdam once, so that would be still fun, and I can I've traveled around Netherlands so much anyway, but I love the Netherlands anyway, so it's fine. Thomas Labrie is saying, hi Matt, do you think that Barbara Pravi's song Voila has the potential to be a jury favorite at Eurovision like North Macedonia in 2019? Or the potential to reach a top 10 for France? Okay, this is more general Eurovision. I'll answer it anyway. Well, my thoughts on it. Not sure if you watched my video, so Very important, my French ranking. I love that song. It's my favorite in the French national final. As far as the odds are concerned, I always think of it as a little bit of like Patricia Kaas from 2009. I could see this one being in the top 5 with the juries, potentially. Maybe not quite as high with the televoters. It's a tough song, but I can see like the televoters going for it, but it could have a similar beautiful appeal like Salvador Sobral had that you didn't see. But my gut feeling is telling me super high with the juries, just not quite as high with the televoters, but could potentially be like an 8th to 10th place based on like just the initial gut feeling. We have one song so far chosen, so I don't know the competition. I don't know, but that is just, you asked me a question. This is just like what I'm thinking. Like that could be like a potential outcome. But that would be a fantastic result for France, right? Especially since recent years. I mean, 2016 had a good result, but you want to have a top 10 result is always good. I hear you. Kian Lafford is saying hello. 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 What do you think about the results about Melody Grand Prix tonight? Kian, you definitely missed the first part of our live stream. We talked about it in detail. Just to give you a nutshell, my favorite did not win, but my second favorite did. And so I think I should be thankful. As long as one of my top 2 makes it through. I thought it was a show well executed. It had a nice flow overall. And I enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to next week. That's the nutshell. You can watch this video later to get my detailed thoughts on this. Marita Loras is saying, do you think KEiiNO will follow how Alexander Rybak did when he tried to come back a couple of years ago? Marita, that's a very good point, and I forgot about that, actually. I was surprised. I mean, not surprised, when I think everyone knew that Alexander was going to win regardless of the song, but it could be. Maybe it's the same situation because Alexander's song was one of my least favorites that year in Eurovision. Although I don't think KEiiNO's song would be my least favorite. It's not a bad song. It's fine. It's just not amazing in my view. But I wouldn't dislike it. It's not a dislikable song to me. But I could see a similar situation. You're right. You're absolutely right. There's a big hype around it. But the song was, in my view, superior, and even they would have to get wait, do they have juries this time around in Norway? If they don't, then I could easily see. I forgot. I'd have to look that up. I don't think they have juries in Norway this year, right? So I forgot about that factor. So if that's true, then KEiiNO definitely has a good shot. That is true. It's not a given. I don't think it's quite as obvious on this one, but yeah, you raised a very good point. World Sasuri saying, do you know why Albania selects their entry so early? Because they do it in line with Festivale Ikenges. And those who don't know, Festivale Ikenges is a show that has been around for over 50 years in Albania, way decades before there were even a thought of them taking part in Eurovision. So the show always takes place right before Christmas, so like December 20th-ish, and that's how they're selected. So they used their festival to select their entry. This is not a traditional national final. You can look at it as kind of like a Sanremo. They just have a festival, and the winner happens to be the one that's being given the opportunity to go to Eurovision. So they're not going to change that just to have, they're not going to move Festivale Kenges, a festival that they've had for decades, to a different slot, just because it's not traditionally the time to select Eurovision entries, if you know what I'm saying. Don't you think songs like Monument and Let Loose in particular will suffer without the atmosphere the crowd creates in the arena? That's also a good point. Although, you can make the case that Let Loose just performed without a crowd. And it did okay. And they'll come up with something, the virtual crowds and whatever. Even if you're a social distancing crowd, the camera work can do wonders. I've been to Eurovision many times, and I'm always amazed how they do it. There were certain times, certain semis where it was super empty, and they still did a great job with keeping the empty seats out of shot. So they could do something similar. They know what they're doing, so I'm not too worried about that. But I hear your point. It could be just like, and that could apply to most of the songs, that there may be a lack of excitement, because the audience gives you a boost, right? And that could be just lack of energy to some less experienced performers. That would be my thinking. But it's too early to say. Too early to say. Just a couple more questions. Um, I like a France 2011 scenario would happen for Voila. Collins, that is a good question. I think in 2011, France was one of the favorites to win. He didn't do well live. He was sharp in many places. I don't know if you're gonna have that same issue here. This is more of an emotional song rather than a perfectly timed entry. And I think the emotions will be such a big part, kind of like Salvador, So that's why I'm thinking it could be a little different. Is it possible? Yeah, but yeah. Marita's asking, do you have a favorite entry from Norway overall? Based on the songs tonight, I can only see the songs that I've listened to tonight. I still think it's Jorn with Faith, Bloody Faith is still my favorite. Let Loose is my second favorite, based on my personal taste. Of course, I had to be in the same duel, but well, there's always a next round, right? So it's not over. It's not over. I think just Jorn would be such a nice addition. Eurotowley, I think Matt likes Adieu from Norway in 1982. Agree with him there for sure. I just happened to glance on that. Eurotowley, I love the winner Germany in 1982, but I have a sentimental value there. But Adieu is my second favorite probably that year. I still listen to it. I listened to that version that the Norwegian pop idol winner did. It was so beautiful. I love that song. I love it. See, I know some of the other ones. I just have to see the picture of the artist sometimes for me to connect. Oh, okay, that's who they are. So yeah. So let's talk about what is happening in the Eurovision world over the next week. Let me see what's happening for the rest of the month, actually, we should say. We don't have, we have next week Lithuania again. Next week we have also Norway again, so they're starting early, which is fun. We do have France. They announced also their national final on January the 30th. That's 14 days, so not next week, but the week after. Their national final as well. So we have another song to listen to, unless someone else will release their song before that. But no later than January 30th, we'll have at least 2 songs for Eurovision. So those are the things that are happening. Of course, there could be random curveballs that are being thrown at us. So just keep an eye out on that. If there are any other shows, let me know at ESC United, of course. Let's see what else we have here. World Cesaro. It is interesting how Chiara placed third in 98, second in 2005, and then 22nd in 2009. She definitely returned to win, but didn't. It happens sometimes. You can only recreate the magic so many times, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's just real life. I don't think, you never know where you're going to end up. Anyone coming into Eurovision thinking, I've got this, they may be in for a big surprise, because you just never know. And I actually have a hard time with delegations that have that attitude. We're going to be in the top 3. We're going to win. Leave me alone. There are certain ones, or there have been some in the past. The team people in charge have changed, but that is, it's a pet peeve of mine. Almost like, don't make me mad. Don't have that attitude. I remember that one country, a few years ago, delegations were like, hey, how can we promote your song? Like, we have all these promotional stuff going on at our website. How we would like to get involved. We don't need promotion. We're going to win, or at least in the top 5. We're good. I'm like, you. I was not happy with that. I'm like, that kind of attitude is like, no. Simon is saying probably Latvia and Ireland will show their songs this month. That would be cool. That'd be cool. We need more music. So I'm waiting for Leslie and Tina getting their music out. 2 wild cards in my view, of course. Oh, and Samantha song will be released on January the 30th. Someone confirmed as well. So then we have two songs on January the 30th. Wow, we're getting spoiled here. It's nice to have a few songs slowly come in rather than having 25 of them drop like in the last 2 or 3 days. Because we know Russia will be last minute. Azerbaijan is usually last minute. Switzerland will be last minute. There's so many countries that just, especially the internal selected songs, that always go last minute. Those are, it's annoying, but you know, that's just how it goes. Let's see. Did you know that the artist of Adieu have been in the finale of MGP 14 times? I knew that he was in there a lot, but I didn't know that he was in there 14 times. Sadly, he passed away. Oh, he did pass away? No, I didn't know. Oh, that is so sad. I'm sorry to hear that. Ugh, 2020 just keeps sucking, even though it's 21. 21 has been sucky as well anyway. You know, with all the stuff that's happening, and on top of it, yes, I don't know why I'm telling you that, but I'm doing it anyway. I had an accident in the bathtub yesterday. I slipped and fell and hurt my arm so bad. It's not bruised yet. It's not blue and green yet, but it hurts so bad, so I cannot even move it. Because the smoke alarm went off, and I turned around and slipped, and woo! My legs were up in the air. And I hit my hand right on the wall and then the side of the bathtub, and it was painful. So 2021, not off to a good start yet. But it's not like I can return it, right? And I don't know if I want to get 2020 back either. So that is definitely not my preference. So yeah, this is where we at, and oh yeah, right. On the 25th of January, Eden Alain is going to pick her song, or the song will be revealed on January the 25th. So we do get some music at last, because I'm tired of listening to the Albanian song. I haven't listened to it that much. I listened to it like 3 or 4 times since she's won. But, you know, I need some diversity. Plus, you know, there are plenty of national final songs. Thoughts on what Lee Smith said 2 weeks ago about the future direction of the UK at Eurovision? I found it very interesting. Connor Wells, you need to forgive me. 2 weeks ago, I was traveling for... Not traveling. I went over to the family's house 10 minutes from here. But, because it's the only place I can go to. So I missed for a week what was going on. So I need a little bit more context in terms of what's going on in the Eurovision world in the UK. So if you can tell me real quick what he said, and I'll give you my answer. Because I want the UK to do well. And because I'm tired of them complaining about everybody hates them. Because in Eurovision, people could not care less. I think we all agree on that. So I want them to do well. I want them to get excited. I want them to stop. Because they love Eurovision, but it's all shame-based now. You cannot watch Eurovision in the UK unless you're hiding under your blanket, watch it on your phone. I want them to be openly proud again, to be a force to be reckoned with at Eurovision. Kian Lafort is saying, do you think that Russia could win very soon? I think they could, because they've been so close in recent years, so they basically waiting to win at this point. Your thoughts? Yes. Short answer is yes. People are saying it'll never happen because the juries would not allow for Russia to win. I don't see that happening. Keep in mind that in 2015, yeah, Sergei Lazarev got a little bit short, the short end of the stick there, and some other songs, but in 2015, Polina, she got like, what, second or third place with the juries, and it really was the televote. If she would have won the televote by a landslide, kind of what Sergei did in 2016, they could have easily won. So Russia can absolutely win. Yeah, no doubt about it. Are you crossing your fingers for Little Big to represent Russia, or do you want someone else? For example, Polina Gagarina. Well, I loved Little Big song, Uno. Once again, I sound like a broken record, but get ready. Expectations are so high because we all think of Uno. We want something as good and awesome as Uno. And if we don't get that, it'll be disappointed, even if it's a decent song. So you always have to live up to previously set expectations. And that can be hard. That can be hard. So, yeah, this is unfortunately the reality. But I just want all the acts back that were set to represent Eurovision in 2020. Because, you know, I feel like they ended up with the one that got screwed over. But just, you know, I'm not in charge. If I was in charge, we would have allowed the songs from last year as well. So that's just me. That is just me. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you for listening and going over the results with everyone. And it was only me today because it was a very last minute kind of thing. I didn't know if I was able to do it because, I had work to do. But thank you for watching. Thank you for all of your support. And we'll be back soon. I will be uploading videos all the time now that the holiday season is behind us. Thank God. I was so tired of the holidays, and just like it's always stressful more than fun. But that's where we're at, and thank you, and have a good day. No, you have a good night because it's only 2:11 here, but it's time to go to bed. Good night. Bye now.